You know, I am Captain Punctual, and the fact that I am 14 seconds behind schedule is already put me off. You know what? Let's just close the whole thing down. We'll do it again next Friday, or perhaps not. Hey, Elaine Batzler, snowy up there. Yes, ma'am. That's good to see you again. Stopped in a Mike show on Wednesday. You popped in down here. Cool. Got a good show today. I have an interesting project that is well tied into important A+ objectives. Yeah, that's the right word. We got contests today. We've got questions. We've got news of the week. It's going to be a fun day. Boy, my voice is raspy. Sorry about that. I feel great. Other than the eternal one of those things, but like I said, that happens to me. I get a cold that everybody else is done with in a week and a half. And for me, my throat continues to run for 7.5 months. So that's how it goes. Andrew, I see you up on there, but not on here. So, hey, well, good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday, and that means it's Pi Day Friday. I am Dave Rush, senior instructor at Total Seminars. This is an Ask Me Anything. You put them together, you get Dave Rush, Ask Me Anything, or Drama. So this is Drama Pi Day Friday. It is the last Friday of February. So Mike's got a show. He's going to do the last day of February on Monday. And then next time we'll see each other, unless there's substitutions or surprises, will be March. In fact, it'll be March 4th. And I got stuff to say about that, but I'll say it later. So, okay, we just got a couple of people here. We'll just do some coasting and see what's going on. We'll do intros and all that happy junk in a while. Let's just see who has turned up and what they're posting. Andre is posting up a storm of the 521 comments so far. 518 are Andre's. Andre, so glad you and your family are safe and healthy in the Netherlands rather than over and across the border, and praying for a swift and as peaceful as possible resolution. I guess it's too late to pray for that, huh? But let's get this whole thing turned around. And that is as far as we're going to go in geopolitics today. This is a technical show, and let's open up another session tonight or tomorrow where we just get together and talk religion and politics and geopolitics and such. But that's not what we do with this show, and I'm going to try and keep us fairly isolated from such things. Ping was first at 11 o'clock my time, 3 hours prior to the beginning of the show. You win, Ping. That's not always the case. I mean, sometimes Tullowitz stays up to the middle of my night and post. I was thinking about prepping the stream last night before I went to bed. I was working till about 1 my time, and I thought, now, you know what? The longer that I leave Mike's stuff up, the more views that he gets. So I delay swapping his out with another one of his or mine as long as possible. Oh, I know why the hat. Some days you just feel like a hat. And about 30 minutes ago, I said, what should I do for the show today that's different? Hat. And I went upstairs and I looked at my pile of hats and found this one. What is this? I'm glad you asked. I used to work and live in Saudi Arabia for a company called Saudi Aramco. And of course, we got all kinds of swag and goodies from them. So this is my Saudi Aramco hat, one of them, because it gets very hot out there. I know some of you can read Arabic. It says Saudi Aramco in both English and Arabic. Okay, we're done with that. Keep neat hair. That looks like an acceptable place for it. Beg your pardon. All right, Tullowitz did check in, however, almost first. And Andre is here, and family home and safe with him. So wonderful news there. Andre. Tullowitz says, hi, Andre. I'm here, loud and clear. Yeah, I had to type in sibilants just to make sure my S's didn't do S. That's a joke for anybody who's in the AV and PA world and bands. Reading questions here. That's right. Andre, you and I are so much of the same mindset. Sometimes it's terrifying. I don't wish that on anyone. Sorry that you're on my mindset, or maybe things are better and I'm on yours. Okay, a lovely conversation. Alan Duggan is here with his marvelous Canadian name. Elaine is here. That's always exciting. So good to see you, Elaine. I'd love to see you back on with Mike. Oh, you're coming to town to see Mike and your relatives. What's the priority there? If I come to town, the wife is in town, the son's in town, so I go over and visit Mike. Sorry. And if I ever get back up there, I am definitely popping in. I would love to see your school. I got to see a little bit of pictures of it, but really love to get a tour of the place. Hello, everybody. Meat and Potatoes 7 is here. Because what? There were 6 other Meat and Potatoes monikers when you decided that that's going to be yours. I can see you trying Meat and Potatoes. No, that's in use. Meat and Potatoes 1 in use. 3, 4, 5, and still after 6 you hadn't given up. All right, 7. Hey, I'm the 7th Meat and Potatoes. I'm just a little self-amused today. I'm having a very happy day. I am happy because I think that there is somebody special watching the show today. I'm not expecting them to chime in this time, but I will work very hard to get them to chime in next week. You know who I'm talking about. And I'm just giddy. I'd rather have him with us and chatting and working my back channel and joining the screen with me. But even if not, he may not even be here. He had some other things going on, but if he's here, I feel giddy. And if he's not here, I don't know that. So I think he's here. So I feel giddy. Oh, Chris Kent is here. Another one of our winners. Looking over here at the list, almost everybody here has won something at some point or another. You made it as well. Yeah, I know, because you posted 31 times up there earlier. I knew you were here, Andre. Steve O. The Steve O. No, I think he just used the letter O, not O. But welcome. Christina Streakland. The 6-month post-cold funk. Yeah. Post-cold. I'm trying to sequence that with the right emphasis on the correct syllable. Hey, there's okay, Veronica Cohn. I'm trying to remember I know you, because I have the memory of a gnat. Sorry. You say hi, Dave, like we've spoken before. And so I'm sure we've spoken. Hi, nice to see you, Veronica. The ping has won, yes. Rahabar Buyan is here. Is routing and switching the same? Routing and switching are absolutely not the same. So, okay, let's do switching and then we'll do routing. Switching is a box that looks at the MAC address of every device into it. I can't believe this. I back channel, I posted a message on one of our other back channel forums that says, I'm going to be doing the show starting at 2 o'clock. No messages, please. Here comes back channel messages. Would you please remind them? I don't know how to turn off. Somebody do this in Discord after the show. I'm going to be on Discord after the show. Oh, back channel. Okay, tell back channel thank you very much and remind them that I'm doing the show. Back channel also, every 20 minutes or so, 20 to 30 minutes, would you post both of the links for the discount specials and for the Discord channel? So, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So we were going to talk about shipping, about switching. So we got this box. It has a number of ports in it. Every time a device that's attached there communicates, it answers a question, it initiates a question, it performs an ARP, it responds to an ARP, it builds a frame. And that frame starts with the destination MAC address of some station, or a broadcast address, or a multicast address, a unicast address to some station, followed by the sender's MAC address. And that's what switches do. They watch every frame that comes in, and they look at the sender's MAC address, the source address it's called, and they say, 0000123 is attached to port number A. And he puts that in memory. Okay, if I ever want to send a message to 123, I'll send it out port A and it'll get there. And so all it takes is for every station on each port of a switch to transmit one time, just to make one frame, and the switch will know all of the MAC addresses. And now whenever a message comes in destined for a particular MAC address, we see the front end of the packet for that, of the frame for that, then he looks in his little memory table and says, oh, this MAC address is attached to port number 26. And he sends it out there. If he doesn't know where the destination is, if it's somebody who hasn't transmitted yet, so he hasn't learned a MAC address, then it sends out all the ports, because it could be anybody. But all it takes is for every station on every port to transmit one time, and the switch will learn all the MAC addresses of all the hosts. Now we add some complexity to that when we start getting multiple switches and hosts on multiple switches, but that's not as deep as we're going to go right now. So the job of a switch now is whenever a frame comes in, the switch will look at the destination MAC address and send it out that one port, and that's it. Routing is a deeper level process. Routers don't care about MAC address. They look deep into the packet, say packet, not frame, and they look at source and destination IP addresses, network addresses. But they perform then the same function. When a packet comes in for a given destination address, network address, he makes some decisions. Is this message already on the correct network address? If so, I don't have to do anything. That station can communicate with its target, its destination, without my intervention. If not, he says, oh, I see what's going on. Here comes a message. It came in on network 10.0.0.0 and is destined for network address 192.168.1. Well, I happen to have a direct connection to 192.168.1, so I will forward that packet onto that network. How about one comes in for a network that your router isn't directly connected to? Here comes a packet from 10.0.0.0 and is destined for 98.0.0.0.0. Well, I'm not attached to a 98.000 network. Well, he's got a default gateway. He says, I don't know how to get to 98 something, but I know that I'm hooked up to some other router that's smarter than me. It knows more routes than I do. So he's going to forward it on to that router via whatever network connection they share. And then that router will look at it and say, oh, okay, I know how to get to this. Or if I don't, I got a big brother, smarter router than me, and I'll forward it on to him. And sooner or later, it'll get to a router that knows the destination route and the best way to deliver it. So short answer, switches work by learning MAC addresses of everybody on the local broadcast domain and forwarding packets, forwarding frames out appropriate ports. Routers look deeper into the packet and forward packets as necessary to other routers until they eventually get their destination. You know what Mike says? Ask me a question about what time it is. I'll tell you how to build a clock. So there it was. Hope that helps. What is priority port? I have no idea. I've never heard of the term priority port. I will let you and your favorite search engine come up with the answer to that. Airbus seems to be going to test an airplane with engines running on broken water hydrogen. Interesting. Yeah, Yeah, there's always some new fuel test going on. There's battery operated ones out there right now. They're doing a twin engine aircraft, and they take one engine and they say, okay, let's do some experimental fuel with this. And there's enough of an engine on the other one that if things go south, then we have another engine waiting to get us to the scene of the accident. You should have a hat too, Chris Kent. Not until July. That's all right. I'm looking forward to it. It's July in Houston. What a good idea. You know, you got family down here. You know what it's like from talking to them and with your other visits. But July in Houston, I can think of better places to go in July. Yes, you folks are anytime, welcome anytime. And my little town has 3 breweries, a winery, and a mead shop, which means everybody in her little town, because they only have a population of 6 people, is in the alcohol creation business. I didn't say any names, Tullowit at 207. But I did speak with that person, and they said their intent is to watch the show today, but not to post. However, I'm shooting for next week, convincing them. I have seen Scott all day. If you're not, if you don't share a Steam account with him, he's Scarhart, SCARHART. Friend him on Steam, and you'll see him all day on and off his 2 favorite games, Civ 5 and Conan Exiles. Steve-O, hi again. Andre, talking to Tullowit at 209. Glad you talked with him. Absolutely, always talking. Loud ping, David. Thank you. Christina, that's super duper loud. Am I loud? Did it ping? I didn't hear ping on my machine. Okay. I don't need to hear myself. I can turn that down. Hello, hello, hello. Oh gosh, I turned the wrong thing down. There, check, check, check. Hey, let me know. I just played with settings that I should not have played with. Oh, okay. I see what's going on. Check, 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 check. There we go. Okay. I'm playing with the wrong button. Check, check, check. Okay, that looks good. There won't be any more loud pings if it was coming from my computer, and I apologize for that. Oh, I know what was going on. Okay, yeah, there was pinging because of the back channel stuff. Fixed. Sorry about that. And I just upped my microphone gain, so let me know if that's too loud. We can get that adjusted. Too little, too late. All right, I assumed it was on my end. I was running around the room trying to squelch everything. Sorry. Yes, I am very sorry about it. Teams notification, way too loud, all fixed. Now I won't hear any notifications though. So when Andre, I always do that in the back channel pings me, I won't hear it. So I just kind of have to watch for blinking lights on my system. Sahil is here. Greetings, Sahil Basia. And he says hello to everybody. Teddy Zoe is back. Good to see you, Teddy. I completely missed what I was supposed to post every 20 minutes or so because we were working on the other back channel. Every 20 minutes or so. Now would be a good time to start with this. Post the discount and the Discord links, please. And then I won't ask you to do it. Just the more we post as people come in and out, the more both things work. And want to see you on, I want to see everybody on Discord today. I'll be on Discord. Okay, very good. Thank you, Andrew. I'll be on Discord shortly after the show. Ping is checking in for me, filling in for me. Thank you, buddy. Okay, there it was. Yeah. So invitations to both the Discord channel and to our discount of the week. Andrew posted at 2:14 my time, 14 minutes past the start of the show hour, depending if I've never looked at any of these out of my own time zone. I assume it shows local time for you wherever you are. Okay, so the Discord channel real quick, not ours. It's the unofficial Total Seminars Discord server, UTSD. And lots of guys and gals hang out there. There's technical experts. There's people with no expertise. There are people who know more than Mike and I and Andrew put together. And there are people who know less. And there are people who are asking questions and people who answer. And I hope you'll join us there. After the shows, typically, we weren't able to on Monday and Yeah, we were for a couple minutes on Monday, but Monday and Wednesday we were pretty occupied right after the show, and mostly couldn't get on except for the quickie on Monday. But I have time today, and I will be there. It's owned and by one of the regulars here who pops in, Siegfried, and a number of the regulars here, including Tulawit, Andre, some other folks who are regulars here. There are moderators over there, and we get together with mics and cameras after these AMAs, and hope you do the same. And we can have a more extended conversation, talk about things that really interest you, that require greater follow-up. But if not, and you still want to come over, please come on over. You text to us, we'll talk back at you. And it runs 24 hours a day. There's a couple hundred people there. We had another server that had a problem and we had to bomb it. But it took 9 or 10 months for it to grow to about 500 people. This thing is less than 2 months old. We're up to 200 already. So I expect we'll see a good growth plus 500 in less than a year's time again. So help us grow and be part of the organization there. They're good folks. As far as the discount channel goes, so somebody wrote me the other day and told me the discount code didn't work. And so it's my fault. It was absolutely working fine. It's my fault for poorly communicating what you have to do and what it works on. So we've got a discount program that we offer only to the people who watch these AMAs. The code changes every week. And I talked to the salespeople yesterday, day before, I don't know, in the last 2 days, and said, look, folks are getting a little bored with the same stuff on sale all the time. Would you please work up something to shake things up a little bit? And they absolutely are taking that under their wing. There's some, it seems like a really easy thing, and it would almost be, but there is this one complication that adds a huge obstacle to just picking a couple items and making a discount. Anyway, so the current program is you create a bundle out of 2 items, an ebook and the matching total tester online practice test. You make the bundle. Don't select any pre-created bundles. Don't try to apply discounts to anything else. You got to pick 2 items, an ebook for A+, for instance, and then the matching total tester online for A+, for instance. And you put them in your basket. And then when you check out, you use the code of the week. The code this week is OMAR, O-M-A-R, all lowercase. And you do this by going to totalsem.com and do all your shopping. So we've got discounts for all kinds of packages that are bundles that you can create. There's A+, there's Network Plus, Security Plus, CYSA Plus, Pen Test Plus, AWS Systems Architecture Associate. That's not a plus. It's not a CompTIA thing. Those are all the bundles that you can create. So go to totalsem.com, create yourself a bundle, and then when you go check out, use the OMAR discount code, and you will get 50% off of what would be the price of those 2 items. Basically, you're getting it buy one, get one free after everything, and it's already an insanely cheap price. Okay, this commercial brought to you by Total Seminars and our bundles. Buy other stuff while you're there too. Keeps me working. Pays Mike's mortgage. And you should see his house. It's a big mortgage. Small house. Alcohol consumption, yeah. Chris is posting and deleting as fast as he posts. What are you up to, Chris? Patricia Grace is here, peeking in to see if there's any oopla going on. No, well, there's drama. I was wondering, says Chris Kent, would I be able to apply for a position in a server room when I receive my A+ certification? Absolutely. Can't guarantee you're going to get the job. You can apply now. Don't wait for your A+ certification. Apply and tell them you're working on it. Tell them the other things that you're interested in. Tell them the things that you know about that don't have anything to do with network, with running servers. In the meantime, start researching servers. Study Server Plus. Don't take the exam. Do that if they make you, if they say it's a requirement for the job. But, make yourself attractive to a prospective employer. Brush your hair, brush your teeth. You know what I mean? But sure, and it shows them that you are diligently working on gathering more information and trying to fit in and be a valuable resource for that organization. So heck yeah, apply to everything that you're interested in. Okay, must have a PhD in biomechanics. I've never taken a biology course. Apply. You got nothing to lose. Nobody else applied. You were the only one. We'll teach you. Okay, you got nothing to lose. Elaine, you tried the mead, kind of sweet, but many flavors. I know 3 people in Total Seminars who are mead aficionados, and they have brought mead in and said, this is really bad mead, and we try that and say, that's okay by me. This is really good mead. Oh my gosh, that other one was so bad. So there are degrees. Fermented honey drink for everybody else who's not playing in the mead world. You are also a mead fan. I don't think any of our people, sometime in the past, Scott, I believe, brewed his own. If not, he certainly knows people who do and or did. Tamber Squirrel is back. Tamber Squirrel, stop in at the Discord channel today, say hi, and tell us about Tamber Squirrel. He can tell us about you too, but I'm just curious where that moniker comes from. Tried the mead, kind of, okay. Today's live chat Discord topic, hot dogs, sandwich or no? Oh, thank goodness we brought up pineapple on pizza, which is God's gift to mankind besides life. Yes, Omar is the discount code. You want to know why, huh? How about in Monday was February 21st of this week. On February 21st, 1939, I believe, I may be off, General Omar Bradley was elevated to Brigadier General. And I wanted to honor Omar Bradley. And it's a nice international name. Apply. Okay, I like this, Christina. I literally got a job with no experience or schooling. I have the want to learn and learning. I know what you mean. Zam Ali is here. Zam Ali, nice to see you back, my friend. Everyone, even perfectly connected with the SCA, knows people who brew mead. I haven't used my Discord in forever. I'll try to join if I remember the password. Very good. All right, well, let's catch up on my notes then. How are we doing here? It's 28. We're in good shape on time. People are beginning to accumulate. Looks like that's probably going to be as big a number as we get. So I'll zip through a lot of this stuff. As you know, I am Dave Rush. This is a Total Seminars presentation, the Mike Myers company. I'm the senior instructor over there, and he lets me get together with you guys for 2 hours every Friday to talk about CompTIA certifications and how we can use Raspberry Pis as tools in learning CompTIA certifications and creating lab networks and things like that. It's a very inexpensive device that is just incredibly powerful and flexible. So I like playing with Pis a lot. Oh man, I'll tell you about a Pi stuff coming up on that. So that's kind of the focus of our thing here, but we can go anywhere. I'm willing to talk any tech that makes you happy, like the difference between switching and routing, even if it has nothing to do with the Raspberry Pi. I am joined in the back channel by my partner in Pi, Andrew Hutz. I didn't write up a new set of credentials for you this week. I forgot about it. Yeah, that's last week's credentials. But Andrew is a heck of a resource, hacker, pen tester, A-pluser, net pluser, writer, editor, just tons of awesome credentials. Catch him on Discord, talk to him here as @Andrew. Don't confuse him with @Andre. And I understand he's been working on a new recipe for an emu omelet. And I don't think that means the eggs from an emu. I think he's actually talking about dicing up emu and adding it into an omelet. So he's a creative guy and mixing it with mead. What are we doing here? We're here to advance technical learning while isolated during the COVID crisis. This is the 81st drama that we've done. We do AMAs 3 times a week. Mike does 2 shows a week, Monday and Wednesday, same time, 2 o'clock, this very same channel. And I do the same thing on Fridays, 2 o'clock, this very channel. So it's an AMA. It's an Ask Me Anything. Easiest, quickest, painless way is to communicate with me on the YouTube chat box. But if you're watching this offline, after we're live or otherwise can't communicate with that thing, there are other ways in which you can communicate with me, and I encourage you to do so. Send me an email. How can I do that, Dave? I don't know your email address. Well, let's change that. There you go. You can catch me. I work for Total Seminars. We have a website called totalsem.com. My name is Dave Rush. All of the employee names there who have emails go by their first name and their last initial. Now you know how to contact anybody at Total Seminars. So I'm Dave R at totalsem.com. You can also connect with me by my personal email if you need drushtx. I'm Dave Rush in Texas at Yahoo. Andrew's reachable on the back channel, on the email channel, Andrew 8, because he's Andrew Hutch. Let's say that again clearly, like I wanted it to be understood. He's Andrew Hutz. His email is andrewh at totalsem.com. And there's other contact information here. If you should need it, just pause the screen, dig it out, and you can communicate. What else we got up here while I've got this thing? I'm finally learning here. This is the specials of the week. It's already posted. Andrew's going to post it a few more times over the course of the day. They go Monday morning through Sunday night, or the following Monday morning. So the Omar discount is good until this Sunday night, the 27th. There's the unofficial Discord channel invitation link. If you go to that link, it doesn't change week to week like our old one did. So it should always work until somebody finally says, okay, we've had enough, or it's bad guys have gotten hold of that, and then they'll switch to a weekly link, but it's case sensitive. Easiest way to do it is just to copy and paste it or click on it in the YouTube chat. Even if you're watching this offline or in the archives or something like that, this will work. Okay. Andrew's posted both the discount link and the Discord and the Discord link again at 2:32. This, by the way, is today's tutorial. It's not really a tutorial. It has steps in it, and I've converted it into a tutorial. So we'll get into that. All right, that's enough of that. We'll come back and visit the other slides on there later. Sorry, just digging through notes here. So, okay, discounts. And so we talk about projects that are done on Raspberry Pis, and sometimes, many times, the projects that we're doing can be done on other distros of Linux. And I try to tell you when that happens. Today, that ain't the case. We are doing something very specific that can only be done on a Raspberry Pi. In fact, it can only be done on a particular, 2 particular models. So I'll get into that and talk about why that's important. I'm not here to teach you Raspberry Pi. I'm here to teach you, share with you anyways, concepts that are applicable to CompTIA A+ and Network Plus and Security Plus. And we use Raspberry Pi as a tool, but this particular way we're going to use the tool only works on a Pi. I have made steps to resurrecting my archive document server. I have until March 3rd to get those steps completed, or I got to wipe everything out and start over from scratch. Which won't be that big of a deal. I can do it in a couple hours, but I think I found the problem. Comcast says it's not their problem. I think I know what it is. And it's a real challenge because basically I got to back up a whole bunch of things from the current server, blast it away, do a reinstall, and then restore those things, and then re-enable some of those things. Restoring them isn't enough. You've also got to start some processes again and so forth. But I've made myself a checklist to do everything. I just got a few more thoughts and days to let that cogitate, and then I will hopefully get it rebuilt and functioning by March 3rd, which is the day before March 4th, our next show. So if I get it working in time, then we'll be ready to go next week. And all the old archives, I'm still making the archives. I still save them to that server. So when the day comes, we fire up the switch, everything will be there again. In the meantime, if there's anything that you want from any document, from any show that I've ever done, including today's show, my outlines, my slides, my step-by-steps, my tutorials, whatever, drop me an email, daver@totalsem.com, and I will send you a zip of every single document that I used for a particular show. They're fairly small once they're zipped up. So where we're going today, well, what we did last week, we did an open Q&A because of It's no wonder I don't teach face-to-face anymore these days, isn't it? Last week, we did open Q&A. I didn't do a project because of overriding priorities at Total Seminars. So today, we're going to accomplish two goals with one project. We're going to look at the role of boot firmware. In Wintel machines, you will know boot firmware as the BIOS or the UEFI. The same is true in x86 based Linux distros. But in Raspberry Pi, they don't have a BIOS per se. They don't have a UEFI per se. They have firmware, just like your toaster probably has firmware in it. If it's got a digital display and it can control the heat and all that good stuff, there's firmware in there. There's a chip that's programmed that the program can't change unless you do some heavy magic to it. Your television has firmware in it. Your router has firmware in it. Everything that's smart that you have has firmware in it. Here's something cool. This is a Sirius XM receiver. It's satellite radio. Everything in there that runs it is firmware. It's a program in a chip. So we're going to screw around with the firmware and make a change to the firmware in a Raspberry Pi today to add functionality to it. The concept directly translates. We do firmware updates occasionally to the BIOS firmware, to the UEFI firmware, so it can add a new feature, so it can support a newer CPU, a different type of RAM, whatever the case may be. So the process of updating or changing the contents of firmware is called flashing. And so we're going to flash the ROM, flash the firmware in a Raspberry Pi, and that's going to give it a cool new function. And then we're going to carry the project forward and complete using that function, because in and of itself, that's a pretty doggone cool thing. All right, let's check back with questions for a little bit. It's 38, we're all right. I didn't pause it. There we go. All right, I'm picking it up at 2:28. If you're following along, you can see if I've missed your question, I read the timestamps off on occasion. So if I read a timestamp off and it's later than the time you posted a question and I didn't answer it, I missed your question. Post it again. It's okay. And if you posted one after the timestamp that I've read off yet, don't remind me yet. I haven't got there yet. I haven't missed it yet. Yes, SCA is Society for Creative Anachronisms. They run around in medieval armor and live the lifestyle for a weekend or a week or whatever. I don't mean run around. You know what I mean. They're very serious about it. They're serious people. They're very intelligent people as in general as a group. Chris Kent talking to Christina. Very nice. Zam. Hi, Dave. Will you show us how to install and configure EVNG? EVNG, Electro Vehicle Next Generation. EVNG, the electronic engine controls on a 737-40 on a Boeing. I'm sorry, you got me. That's the second thing today. Priority port and EVNG. I'm going to take both of those down as notes today. I don't have the answers to those questions, but if you come back and visit me on Friday of next week, I will have answers to that. I suspect, having never heard of installing and configuring EVNG. That's a bigger thing that I can certainly do on a show, but let's research it and see what we can learn about it. Priority port. All right. I have takeaways. I'm a pen tester. My pens work just fine. God, I can't believe. Always read the text and the author before. I know you're using emu meat. The thing that scared me is the fact you're using it off their legs. Not much meat there. Well, on the upper part. All right, TC is here. I just saw a robot you can get on Amazon that uses Python and a Raspberry Pi to program. Thinking about getting it from my office as our company pet. Very cool. I have been shopping for a pair of robots that make me very happy that are both Pi controlled. One is a tank and the other is a car with a robot arm. Reading questions, passing 231. TD Washington says, my high school buddy was really into Ren Fair and mentioned the SCA. Yep. So we got a big Ren Fest down here in Houston in fall in the Houston area. A couple 100,000 people turn up to it every year. Always seems to be on the same day, and parking is miserable. Andrew at 232 posted our links again for the unofficial Discord channel and for the discount. He's going to do that one or two more times as the show progresses. Tullowit 233, update your antivirus. Make sure your routers have the latest firmware. Cyberware is coming fast. It's on the edge, Tullowit. I'm not going to pull it, but no religion, no politics, no geopolitics in this show today until YouTube gets knocked down because of cyber warfare. Then we're going to come back with meat drink-offs and sword fighting. Yeah, very cool. Elaine, TC, talking to TC. Our students learn Python. Oh, yeah, cool. The Adept Rasp tank. That is exactly the tank that I'm looking for. And I tried to get one off of an auction the other day and got the price went so high. It was within 20 bucks of buying new. So I said, well, I'm not going to buy one off the used off an auction site. But I am looking for that one. You can get it for about 120 bucks new. I just happen to be familiar with that one. I like that one a lot. You're going to be bored seeing this firmware flash, but it's in principle the same as everything. Zam, I flush Eufy of HP devices. I don't know why most elite books seem to need for a while BIOS upgrade. Okay. All right. Well, we're caught up then. Let me check back into notes. There we go. News, tricks, technique of the week. I have a mantra. It's my own personal mantra. It's called, every good idea has already been thunk up. Every time I think I come up with this brilliant idea, might be a recipe, might be a device, might be whatever, I go and look it up, and sure enough, it's either been around forever and I just missed it, I only now just thought of it, or it's a reasonably recent invention or product, and I came along a little too late. Well, I came up with an idea the other day. I came up with it yesterday because it would solve a problem that I have been dealing with for the last 70 days. Can't tell you what it is yet. And it's really obvious. It's an accessory for all Raspberry Pis. It'll work on every Raspberry Pi out there. And I thought, well, it's surely something like this exists. I'll go buy one. And I went online and I went all over the place, and it doesn't exist. So I started putting pen to paper and saying, look, if I were going to make one of those things, what would it have? What would it have? What would it have? And it needs an IC that does a particular function. And I am terrible at finding purpose-built ICs. If I have to, I can program a programmable IC, something called an FPGA. But I didn't want to do that. There was in my mind, there must exist a chip that has most of the functionality that I want, that I can add to it. But again, I am just bad at that. I've got a double E degree, but I don't do anything with it. I haven't done anything with it for 30 plus years. So I contacted a buddy of mine yesterday who's still a very active double E and designer and said, hey, I got a project. Here's what it does. Point me in a direction, or if you've got a chip in mind, let me know what it is, or And instantly, 30 minutes later, he writes back and said, here's the chip you need. And I looked at it and said, no, that's not the chip I need, but there's enough terminology in there that I was able to find the right chip within a half an hour, 40 minutes or so. And holy Hannah. So I've already started laying out the circuit board. I've ordered some of the chips. What to say about that? They are back ordered from the original manufacturer until December. However, there's some cheap Chinese ones that are in stock. So I ordered 10 of those just so I can make prototypes. And this is just going to be the coolest thing. My guess is because of the real back orders and stuff like that, I'll get the prototypes done in a couple of weeks. There's a lot to do when you design a product that is intended to be used or marketed beyond breadboarding something. He points to a breadboard that's buried down there somewhere. I'm not going to break it out. So you got to design the circuit. You have to build a prototype. You've got to tweak and fix the circuit. Once you get that running, then you design the form factor of the circuit board, and you get all the traces laid out and the holes and everything set, and make sure the right places are designed for all the right components. And then you have to get the components on, get the circuit boards made. Then you get the components soldered on. And these are all SMD devices. They have very, 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 very tiny little leads. You can't hand solder them. You have to use hot air or an oven or hot sand. Look it up sometime and get those things on. I got to decide if I want to do that myself, if there's enough interest in the thing, or if I'm going to have it done professionally. And you got to have templates made. Oh, and then there's the enclosure, and there's the additional components that you got to buy. And then there's going to be the attachment hardware. All that stuff's got to be worked out. I know what it all is. I got to find a few components yet. But all this stuff is time consuming and it's money consuming. I have to decide if I can self-finance this. It's not that expensive, but I got a kid in college and I got a broken car, and I got $40,000 worth of house damage that I'm fighting with the insurance company on. They wouldn't call me back. So the other possibility is to do a Kickstarter. And there's two ways to do a Kickstarter. One is just to ridiculously oversell it so that you're not going to get enough people to meet your minimum funding level. But what that accomplishes is it tells you how many people are interested in it. Then you can decide if it's worth pursuing for real. And then the other one is, to realistically say, how many backers do I need? How much money do I need to fund the creation of the first set of products and get the reflow stations and all that good stuff. And then you've got all the equipment, you've got all the, and then you can market it at regular price. So I don't know, there's a lot going on, but I'm going to make this project. It's going to be really, really, really cool. Sorry, got a piece of ice there. I'm going to chew for a second. Next week, back to tools, tricks, and techniques. We got a super cool project. We are going to install Kali Linux on a Pi. We've done this before. It's a very easy thing to do. Last time we did it was for a project back in November of 2020, November 13th, if you want to look that up. But I'll run you through it. It's real quick. It's real easy. It's real painless. So we install Kali Linux on a Raspberry Pi, and then we're going to use a Raspberry Pi to crack your Wi-Fi password, WPA2. Yeah, it can do WEP, it can do WPA, it can do WPA2. I cracked mine. So very, very cool project, and it goes much more quickly than you might expect. The cracking process, that could take a long time. So once it's captured what it needs to capture and do some decoding, now I've got it set up so that it will happen instantaneously. Okay, let's call it I cheated, just so I could show you the results real quickly. But you may be looking at something that once you've got the initial captures done, turn it on, walk away, come back in a week or 2 or 3. So it's not a great tool if you're looking to park outside a bad guy's place. I'm going to hack your Wi-Fi password, and then I'm going to get in and put government secrets in there or take your secrets away or whatever. And I got an hour. Probably not going to happen, though there's a chance. But if you can go in there and do the capture and then just keep it running while you go home, plug it in at home and let it run, in a couple of weeks, you may very well have his password. So we'll describe all those details. So I'm going to do that on the March 4th show next Friday. I love March. March has collectively a set of the coolest dates of all the months of the year. So we got March 4th, the only day of the year that's a command, March 4th. And then we got March 14th, also known as 314 Pi Day. They didn't do anything exciting or interesting from Raspberry Pi on Pi Day last year. So fingers crossed, they're going to do something good. We got April 1st, which is not a date in March. However, it is the most exhausted day of the year because, are you ready? Dad joke. Everyone is exhausted because they just completed a 31-day march. I also like April 1st because we're going to do a show on April 1st. We're doing drama, so keep your eyes peeled. Who knows what we're going to do that day? I am a member of the CompTIA Instructors Network. And what that means is I get information from them that everybody else gets eventually, but it comes in pretty soon. I got an invitation 2 days ago for the members of this group to attend an online sneak peek. It'll be on March 2nd or 3rd. I think it's the 3rd. I don't know, 2nd or 3rd, where they're going to tell us whatever it is they have to tell us about the upcoming changes to the A+ program. I will share with you what I can, what they don't NDA us on. But even if they NDA us on everything, I'm not forbidden to tell you that I got this invite and what the topic of the presentation is. And I think you can take that to interpret as it won't be long before there's an initial public announcement of whatever they're going to be telling us. Reading my notes. Moving on. We got a contest today here, which we're going to do as soon as we answer the next batch of questions, and then we're going to start the project. No. Okay. All right, leave it on that page. Let's go over here and see what questions have accumulated while I was yapping. I don't see much going on here. Pardon me. Sorry, reading questions here. There we go. We super scrolled. That's a good thing. Going back farther than I intended to. Okay, so the last thing I read was the message from Zam Ali at 240. Amazon's got it for 90 bucks. Cool. That's cheaper. Heck, the one at the auction site that I was looking at went for 80 and change, plus shipping and tax. So outstanding. Will Shaw is back. Welcome back to the newest Delta captain in the fleet. He's been out there proving his skills online as a new captain. It's not the first time he's been a captain, so he's very safe and trustworthy and wonderful, but he has to hang out with company check pilots for a couple of days and a couple of runs, and before they can bless him and say, okay, planes all yours, crews all yours, go and sin no more. I suspect that as a new captain, anybody who hiccups in the back and removes their mask in order to do that will result in a divert to Goodyear. You're back down in Florida. Okay, very good. Hey, Will, tell me on Discord, are you going to change bases or are you staying in the garbage? Chris Ken, it's going to be, yes, amazing stuff coming. It's going to be fun. Gonna be fun. doing electronics and doing design gets my juices flowing. I wasn't in a funk yesterday, but I had a little bit of a funk. The missus was supposed to have gotten in late last night, Thursday night, and bad weather has made a lot of flight cancellations. And so they've reset her till Sunday night. So I'm lonely. And I didn't go to the office and play with Mike yesterday. I played with him on Wednesday after the show, and we did some stuff and before the show. But that happened, and I was like, oh wow. And I was just an adrenaline ball until 1 o'clock in the morning when I had to go to bed. It's a nice way to hack a government site and blame your neighbor. Exactly. More to it than that. Forensics could find it, but thank you. March 4th. Good dad joke. Always one of my favorite one. Jared Graham is here. Good evening. You're not late. It's okay. You haven't missed anything. No contest, no projects. And I don't take attendance until the very end. So you're safe. Okay. You'll be there at the instructor webinar. Very good. Yeah, right. You're associated. Cool. They don't let us talk to each other while we're in these sessions, but yes, thank you. I am doing better. All right. Let us have a giveaway. So we are going to give away a practice test. We call it Total Tester Online. It's a really cool practice test engine because it looks and works very, 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 very similar to real CompTIA exams. The way we present the questions, the way they're boxed, the way the appearance. So much of that is just insanely similar. And then, of course, it's better because we have hints available if you want them or not if you don't. And you can set your own time limits, and you can set, I only want questions from domain 1 or domain 2 or all of them. I wanted to simulate an exam with the same number of questions and the same percentage of domain. It's just, wow. And we've got all kinds of total tester topics, the usual CompTIA ones, and a lot more. Linux Plus is in there, and AWS, and zillions and zillions and zillions. So whoever's going to win today's contest will have your choice. Pick any TTO. You'll find the list of our TTOs at totalsem.com. I have to get your submission tonight before 9 p.m. my time. That's when I got to submit them to the appropriate people. So study it quickly after the show and then send me your contact info. I'm sure Andrew has the how to claim your prize lined up and ready to post as soon as we figure out who it's going to be. Previous winners of total tester packages and or CompTIA vouchers are eligible to win again unless you have hoarded a bunch of them, in which case we tend to try to give prizes to people who've never gotten one, to new faces here. The whole goal here is not to help one person get 40 exams, and because they're only good for 90 days anyways, and they expire. So, you're not going to study 5 or 6 sets of total seminars exams. And we don't, we had some person who won a whole bunch of them. Then he would call up and say, don't activate this one until that such and such date. No, we don't do that. When we get your name and I submit it to the people, they generate, here you go. Here's your email address. Here's how to access the total tester. You have 90 days. So that's the way it works. So this is the last time I'm going to do CompTIA Linux knowledge questions that you have to know for A+. Next month, I got a new topic, but we spent the entire February doing questions that you have to know about Linux for Core 2, 220-1002. So today will be the last one of those we do. This is an objective 1.9. It says in the Core 2 exam objectives, given a scenario, use features and tools of the Mac OS and Linux client/desktop operating systems. And what they do is they give us a list of Linux commands among those objectives, and I build a question around one or more of those Linux commands. So here's the deal. You're going to type your answer in. I don't use ABCDs. I use a command. So you got to type in the command. Some of these commands look very similar to each other. So, don't typo it. You got to type this in exactly. All of the answers today have either 2 letters or 3 letters in them. Oh, there it is. Okay. This is going to be one correct answer. I'm going to give you 5 choices on this thing. Am I dragging this out enough? Here, let's just do this. So, like the question of the day. Oh, I got to get the link up. Then everybody can see it. All right, we got that. Now we click this and we put the question on the screen and the answer choices. Here we go. Okay, so the question of today is, which of the Linux commands listed down here is used to rename a file? Your 5 choices, only one of them is correct. CP, MV, REN, RM, RN. These are listed alphabetically. Which of those 5 commands is a Linux command that's used to rename a file? CP, MV, REN, RM, RN. All right, let me take a look. I'll leave that up and we'll look through the answer list here and see if we can discern a winner. And then I will post the winner, and then we'll post the name. Will Shaw passes. I have a likely winner. Let me see how many times that person has won. I recognize the name. That's the one. Oh, that's not the one I'm checking. I'm checking one higher up that has a name that starts with the same first letter that you have back channel. Stand by. What are you doing? Okay, so that person won pretty recently. How many times? Oh, nope. That one won twice. So now I'm looking at the one you are now. Oh, wait a minute. I see somebody different here. Sorry, this is the more winners we have over time, the longer these things take to look up. I apologize for that, but that's the nature of the beast. Hey, back channel, tell me the timestamp where you saw the name that you posted to me, because I'm not seeing that, and I'm seeing correct answers before I'm seeing the name that you're seeing. Right on the money. Okay. All right. Well, that's the same time as the one that I'm picking. So, oh, I see. You are. Oh, yes. Okay. That's a very recent winner. We're going to let that one go. All right. I got a name here that is not a recent winner. So let me get up the answer to the question. And hang on a second. I'm going to post in the back channel so you can prep your winner announcement. There we go. Please move this window. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay. Let's go back to here and put the answer page up. All right. The answer is MV. It's the move command. And what's interesting is when you move a file from one folder to another, it keeps its name. But if you move a file from a folder to the same folder, that's how you change the name. You say move file name 1.txt, file name 2.txt. Well, that moves it out as file name 1 and then right back in as file name 2. Let's take a look at the other ones real quick. We'll do a quick review on them, what those answers were. CP, that's the copy command. So that would make a duplicate someplace else. MV is the move command, also used to rename. Ren is the Windows command line utility to rename a file. RM removes files and directories. And RN is a registered nurse, but it's not a Linux command. Okay, give me a second while I update paperwork. And Andrew is going to post our winner. There was a couple folks who had the same timestamp. The winner that I chose, is Daniel Klein. Daniel Klein, congratulations. You are the winner of today's Total Tester Online. Andrew is going to post a post that'll tell you exactly what you have to do, and I will verbalize it. Give me a second. I'm trying to do 4 things at once here, and that's not working well. So give me just a second. Today is the 23rd. There we go. Let's put you. Today's the 25th. That would explain why I already had a name, having won the 23rd. Okay, the winner goes here. Save that. All right. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna send an email to me, daver@totalsem.com. You must include in the body of the email the following 4 fields: your YouTube name, your given name, your real name. Can't say how many times I've had to tell people to, nope, sorry, you got an invalid submission this week. We need that because that's going to get attached to your thing. The email address that you want us to contact you with, do not count on us using the email address in the header. It needs to be in the body of the email. And then specifically by exam number, which total tester set of practice tests you want. Now, if you ask for 220, 1001, or 1002, you get them both. Doesn't matter. They're a package deal. So that's cool. But you can't say net plus because there are N10007 net pluses and N10008 net pluses. So I need that number, N10007, N10008, SY0601, whatever the exam number is that you want practice test questions for, and that'll get you going. All right, we're moving along here. It's 6 after the hour. I got about 30 minutes worth of project to do. So let's get on to that. Congratulations again, Daniel Klein. All right, so what we're gonna do here is a project that gives us one of the methods for flashing a ROM or flashing firmware, and we're gonna help out a little bit Raspberry Pi folks with a beta test. So what they're doing is they're testing some new firmware that will go into a chip on the Raspberry Pi that will add functionality to the way the Raspberry Pi boots up. And the goal of this thing is right now, if you want to install an operating system on a Raspberry Pi, you have to, it's stuck in there, get out of there. There we go. Have a computer with a micro SD slot in it or an adapter. And or if you don't have one of those, then you got to go out and get one, get a USB adapter. You need, of course, your micro SD card. You put the micro SD card in the reader writer adapter, plug this into your computer, and then you download into your computer, if you haven't already, the current version of the Raspberry Pi imager. And then from that, you will select which operating system you would like to install. It will reach out on the network, find the image of that OS, download it into your computer, and then burn the image onto your micro SD card. And then once that's done and it's safe to remove the card, now you take that and you install that in your Raspberry Pi and you power it up and it boots off of that. Well, what they want to do is change that up so that there's firmware built into here. It will call out on boot up to Raspberry Pi site, download the imager and a little tiny operating system enough just to run that imager. And then you pop your SD card in and you use the imager to say, all right, this is the OS that I want. And he'll download it and he'll burn it onto your card. And you don't need another computer. You're all set, huh? Then you reboot off the card, and now you're booting from the real operating system instead of this firmware. So that's their plan. The goal is for them to ultimately include that firmware into shipping units. However, they're trying to test it first. So what they've done is given us an image that we can download the same way we still download operating systems, put it on a micro SD card, boot your Raspberry Pi from that micro SD card, and it will update the firmware with this new beta firmware. Then we pull it out, and now it's going to be just like what Raspberry Pi is going to create when they ship this thing. So we're going to go through that. It's a fairly painless process. and it's a lot of fun, and I'm going to need that out. There is a tutorial, and Andrew's going to post the link to that. I think it's the last one that I put on my on the back page notes today. It's over at raspberrypi.com/news. It's kind of a tutorial. And again, I've got a tutorial all written up nice and neat, step by step, exactly what you have to do. And just send me an email if you want a copy of that, daveR@totalsem.com, and I'll send you everything you need and more than you want. Very good. Tutorial is posted at 10 minutes past the hour. Thank you. So let's do a little bit of background in here. A couple things you want to do. The goal, I already did this. The goal is for Raspberry Pi to build this function into Raspberry Pis, and then we won't have to do this two-step thing anymore. But because it's beta right now, we got to do that. So now we want to talk about firmware. So if you're a PC user, not a Mac user, because they don't let us play with their firmware, or if you're a Linux user on an x86 box, you're familiar with BIOS. You power up your computer, you start banging on the F2 key, or sometimes it's a different key, and you find yourself in the BIOS setup program or the UEFI setup program. And what that is a little program that lives inside a programmable chip called a ROM. In fact, it's called a flash ROM. Flash, which means I can update the code in there if I use an appropriate utility, a flashing utility. ROM, it's read-only memory. Once it's programmed, it will never forget what the program is. Even if you totally power off the computer, if you remove the CMOS battery, doesn't matter, that chip is permanently programmed. So it's a read-only memory. That particular chip, if you're interested, is called an EEPROM, a double EEPROM. It's electronically erasable, programmable, read-only memory. It's a double EEPROM. So it can be electronically erased and then electronically reprogrammed. That's the only way that will ever change its contents. And that's a dangerous thing to do. If something happens in the middle of programming, of flashing a ROM or a firmware chip, same thing, your system will turn into the functional equivalent of a brick. In some PC computers, that chip is removable, and you can huck it and call up your motherboard manufacturer and say, hey, I'd like to buy a replacement ROM chip, and they will send it to you. Asus does that, MSI does that, all the big names do that. Those chips aren't soldered in. All the chips on Raspberry Pi are. Okay, don't want to read all this junk to you. Okay, so in the BIOS chip, in the UEFI chip inside an x86 machine, there's three sets of programs, three compartments. One of them is the setup program. It's a program that allows you to make decisions about what's going on inside your computer at boot time and afterward. Do I want my USB ports to be backward compatible with old USB ports? Which storage device do I want to boot first? What's the time and date? All kinds of things like that. So that information, that info isn't saved in the ROM chip. It's actually saved in another special memory chip that is battery powered. But this is the program that allows us to read the contents of that memory chip and to save that memory chip. We call that program the setup program. Also built into your BIOS chip, your UEFI chip, we'll call it a BIOS chip because that's the old name, that's what everybody calls it, is a set of very limited specialized drivers that allow the CPU to initially communicate with many of the devices on your computer. The hard drive interface, not memory, various storage interfaces, USB ports, keyboards, mice, stuff like that. We call them drivers. In the system, they're called, in the computer, called services or service programs. And then the third program is called POST, the power on self-test. He wakes up, he checks to make certain that a specific set of minimal devices in your computer are functional, enough that the computer would be able to boot. And then once he says, okay, I've got an acceptable list of stuff, now it's POST's job to go out and find a bootable operating system on a storage device. or at least a storage device that says, yes, I have a bootable operating, bootable operating system, in which case Post says, okay, I am turning over control to you. I'll help you load the first bits of code that get that process going. And then I'm going to dump myself out of memory, and your code will have to take care of all the rest of the stuff. So what I want you to walk away from that little presentation is computer BIOSes, traditional x86 BIOSes, have a user interface. It's the BIOS, the CMOS setup program, the computer setup program, whatever you want to call it. And there's a post process that gets booting going. Pretty much the only thing in the firmware in a Raspberry Pi is a very simple post and a bootloader. And his job is to call out to the micro SD card and say, hey, can you boot? Or to a USB storage device, or to the network interface. We have network booting supported in Raspberry Pis. There's no user interface. You power it up. He does his little power on self-test, and then he starts looking first for a micro SD card, then for USB, then for a network boot. And if one of those exists, he says, cool, and he turns control over. And if none of them exist, he just sits there and blinks green flashing lights at you forever. So this new firmware that we're going to add is going to add a little tiny user interface to say, did you want to install a new OS on a micro SD card, or do you want me to just keep trying to boot from one of those other things? You'll see as we go. All right, what do we need to do this? This only works right now on a Raspberry Pi 4 model, any of the memory values, or a Raspberry Pi 400, the one's got the built-in keyboard and mouse. You want an enclosure, you want a power supply, you want a micro SD card. It can be very small to do this first part, but if you're gonna use it to put an OS on later, you need at least 16 gigs. There are ways to pull it down to 8, but we'll go with 16. So we're going to start the old-fashioned way. You're going to have you're going to download the current Raspberry Pi imaging program from raspberrypi.com/downloads to a Windows machine. There's a Mac version of it. There's a Linux version of it. I can tell you how to download and install those in my document. I'm not going to read it off to you right now. It's time we don't need to do. Those of you who are using Debian releases to install it on a Debian Linux like Ubuntu, you have to download a deb package, and then you got to sudo depackage what you've downloaded. So it's going to bore everybody else. I'm not going to go into that here. All right, show the following on a shared screen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my little micro SD card. I'm going to put it into my reader. All right, it came up. That's a good sign. Now I'm going to bring up the Raspberry Pi imager. And then I'll share that with you. Yeah, come on up. There you go. Back up your drop. What are you doing? No, I don't want to back up my drive to Dropbox right now. Goodness gracious. Okay, now I got something to share. So let's go into the screen share programmer on Zoom. There it is. Okay, so I got a blank micro SD card installed in this computer. And I don't want to make this up because I did that once before and it didn't go well. All right, so we start with run the Raspberry Pi imager. Click the box under operating system. It says choose OS. And we're going to go down here to where it says miscellaneous utility images. And what I want you to notice here is this is what we're going to play with, the beta test bootloader. I'm going to go into that menu in a minute. When you're done, if you're not happy about having the beta test bootloader left in your system, there's no problem with doing that, by the way. It's the same old bootloader that you've always had plus one new function. But what you do is you would go back and restore the old bootloader by coming into this menu and selecting the bootloader menu. and just reflash the firmware with regular old bootloader. But we're going to go into the beta test bootloader. And look what your choices are here. They've got firmware right now that will work for either booting off an SD card, booting off a USB storage device, or booting from your network. Eventually, that will all get conglomerated into one program and it will go into your firmware. But we're going to boot off an SD card. Okay, where do you want to put this firmware that we're going to flash our system onto? We'll go into storage. And there's the one that I've installed. It was a 64 gig card. There's no options in here. There's no hidden menus or anything like that. You just pick your SD card, you pick your image that you want to put on it, and you hit write. And this is going to be real quick. It's not like burning an OS into it because it's just a handful of files here. And I'll read my notes while that's going. Yeah, so when I did this a couple nights ago, it took 20 seconds. There we go. Okay, this should complete in about 20 seconds, and then it'll do another 5 seconds to do a verify on it. Yeah, buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. And it is done. Okay, the SD card boot has been written. You can now remove it, continue. So we'll do that. I'll pull my micro SD card. I'll stop sharing here, come back to head. That's a technical term. And here's what I got. So now I'm going to put this in my Raspberry Pi, which is powered off right now. And I've got my Raspberry Pi set up so that it's connected to a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse. I'm saying that like that's true. No, it's not. It's connected to a monitor right now. And the only way this works for the moment is with a wired connection. So if you're going to do this at home, you're going to have to run an Ethernet cable from your Raspberry Pi to one of the switch ports on your Soho router, your Wi-Fi router, whatever you got. For this particular part of the process, the only thing that you have to do is have a keyboard hooked up. But I got it all hooked up. Now, oops, it turned off. Okay. I'm going to switch cameras here to a junky camera that I have. You may not be able to see very clearly what's going to happen. I'll describe it and we'll go from there. Just the way it has to be given the equipment that I had to work with. So I don't want to stop video. I want to change cameras to this one. Yeah, I know that looks really awful. It's okay. That's just my monitor. It says no input signal detected. And like I said, a mirror, but that's the monitor where I've got this Raspberry Pi plugged in. So all I've got to do now is power it on, and it's going to boot from that firmware flat or from that micro SD card, and it's going to find a program that says put this in firmware, and it's going to flash the firmware. If you have a monitor hooked up, you can tell when it was successful because your monitor is going to turn green. If you don't have a monitor hooked up, that's okay too. There are flashing codes. And let me see, what is the flash code? And insert the card, uses flash in the imager under the Raspberry Pi, power back on. The board LED will blink regularly. And if you have a monitor connected, the screen will go green to indicate the flashing is done. So when it starts booting or flashing regularly, it's done. I'll see if I can point this camera down after the screen turns green. So here we go. I'm going to hit the power on my Raspberry Pi. And hey, I'm getting some kind, there we go. The screen just turned green. Doesn't look like it to you, right? It looks kind of gray. It's because of a filter that I have on here, but I got to leave that on. So trust me, that's green. And what I see on my Raspberry Pi is a solid red LED for power. And the LED, the green LED is just on flash, 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 about this pace. That's about 140, 150 beats per minute. All right, so it's done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to power off my Raspberry Pi, and I'm going to pull that micro SD card out of it. And now I'm going to power it up again. The new firmware, this is what's going to happen when we get to this point when they ship it from Raspberry Pi. You can power up your system. And if you got a blank micro SD card, you can even put it in right now. But this isn't blank. If I had it in there, I would try to boot from this again and it would just reflash the firmware. So I'm powering up the Raspberry Pi. And that new firmware is, after post, going to start seeking out, is there a bootable micro SD? Is there a bootable USB? Is there a bootable? And hey, look at this. There's a screen that looks an awful lot like the colors of Raspberry Pi. And I know you can't read it very well, but what it says is press and hold the shift key to stop the boot process and start the network installation. Otherwise, hit the escape key and let it keep trying to find. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my card that I use to flash the firmware in here back in the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to let it overwrite that firmware because we don't need it anymore. And we're going to install an OS on here. So I'm going to press and hold the shift key exactly as it says to do. I need my Raspberry Pi keyboard to do this. There's one. Press and hold shift. Pressing and holding and holding and pressing. Okay, a new message came up that you can barely read on the top of the screen that says, install Raspberry Pi operating system using Raspberry Pi Imager. Please wait. Okay, I'll please wait. So what it's doing now is it's downloading the current Raspberry Pi Imager. So you can see the message here, please. Well, you can't see it very well, it's fuzzy, but it says, please wait for download. And then it's got a path over at the Raspberry Pi site to a boot image file. And they don't give me a percentage here. They just show me it's downloaded 4 of 23 megs so far. This will only take 15 or 20 seconds. And then the Raspberry Pi Imager is going to run on here. And it works and acts just the same as running it on any other computer. This is just bloody cool. While that's happening, let me tell you what happened to me the other night. The first time I tried this, I put the flash program on the micro SD card. I stuck it in my Raspberry Pi and powered up and nothing happened. Solid green, solid red. Well, I must have blown that. So I went and reflashed it and did it again. And it failed again. And I started trying all kinds of wacky things and they were all failing. And I started to come to understand that I bricked my Raspberry Pi. No, I didn't. And here's how I found out. I went back to my traditional method and installed a fresh, regular bootable operating system on there, put it in, and it booted up to that OS. Cool bananas. Very excited. I didn't destroy the Pi. Now, what had happened is I read the manual on this 2 weeks ago when this thing first came out. And I totally misremembered the process. I totally misremembered. In fact, I didn't even misremember. I didn't even correctly read the restrictions and limitations. I just thought okay, this is how I would do it. And so that's what I tried. It's rebooting now with that Imager installed. Here we go. There's the Raspberry Pi Imager. Oh my gosh, that is just beyond cool and a half. I'm going to get an installation started here and we will be done. So what happened, and I went back and I tried to read all the stuff and all the comments. Nobody else had this problem. So I started again at the beginning of their, call it a tutorial. And the first instruction said, this has to be installed on a Raspberry Pi 4 or a Raspberry Pi 400. I had been trying to install it on a Raspberry Pi 3. And second of all, the process that I remembered or that I put into my head was totally wrong. And what I was trying to do, even if it had been a Raspberry Pi 4, wouldn't have worked. So what's the lesson? The same lesson that we always have. Read the manual. All right, let me set this up real quick to get an installation started, and then we'll be done. We can go on and do some other things here. So mouse, wake up. There we go. I got mouse control here. Choose operating system. I'm going to put the standard Raspberry Pi 32-bit OS on here. Choose my storage device. There's my 64 gig card. English US, I like that. And do I want to do anything with these settings? Sure, we'll do a little bit of the settings. We'll give it a host name. We'll call it Beta Boot Pi. BETABOOT Pi, Beta Boot Pi. And I will enable SSH on it. And I'll use password authentication, and I'll use the stock password that all Raspberry Pis have. SPBERRY, Raspberry. I don't think I'll bother to configure Wi-Fi on here. Set my locale, my time zone. I have a lot more time zones in these now than they used to. And you can't type this in, and you can't use page down. You just got to hold the down arrow on here. Oh, they changed it though. It's no longer USA. It's now America. So it'll be America, US probably, if I remember right. LMNOPQRST. No. Oh, it was probably America Central or Chicago. Yeah. We find all kinds of crazy things. When you put the wrong time zone in here, it's wrong. So America Chicago works. America Central works for me as well. Anything else critical that I want to do here? I don't care about sounds. I don't want to skip the first run wizard. So I'll save this. All right, we're ready to go here. All we got to do now is hit the right button. We get the warning, hey, I'm going to blow away your micro SD card or your USB card or whatever you selected. You really want to do that? Yeah, I really do. And off she goes. And this is a long process. It takes a lot longer for it to burn an operating system on here than it does when you're trying to do it the traditional way. I think I made some notes on how long it took me last time here. 4400, read all the instructions, completes the installation of firmware. Hold the shift key. Update information after the boot. You're redone. Fresh, ready to install. Yeah. I think it was like about half an hour, 40 minutes. Oh, here we go. Mine took 24 minutes for it to write. It's going a heck of a lot faster. It's already at 15%, but I'm done with that. So it's just going to do that. And then all you got to do is reboot. The firmware will find the bootable SD card. It won't launch into that. And you're ready to go. All right, so let us unshare this screen. Oh, I'm not sharing a screen. I'm using another camera. So let's go get out of the camera and get back to the Brio. Hey, and there we are. So we flashed firmware. How'd we do it? We put code on a card, and their bootloader said, oh, I recognize that's firmware. I'm supposed to update this. Other flashing firmware techniques use different programs. Sometimes you can do it straight out of Windows. Mac machines, they automatically update their firmware. Linux machines, you might have to use, in an x86 machine, you might have to go into the BIOS setup program. It can call home and get current firmware, or you might have to go and get current firmware, stick it on a USB drive. Pop that in. There's all kinds of different ways to flash firmware, and it's different on different devices besides computers. But the whole point is somewhere there's a file, and you got to get the contents of that file read into your double EEPROM, your flash ROM. It's at 47% right now. When this gets done and it boots up normally, I'll flip you back over there. All right, so that completes that. Let's take some questions, and then we'll do another contest. Let's see, I got to get out of this thing. And we're in good shape on time here, 34. Excellent shape. My page was left on, there goes the super scroll. Okay. So I'm picking up at 3:07 as far as messages go and posts. Pour gasoline over it, light it. That'll flash. Thank you. Andre, you're having a rough time over there. Everything you're doing is dark. And I understand and appreciate that. Daniel Klein, thank you. Never won anything. First time in your life you've won anything. I'm so happy to have been your first. Yeah, that does make it more awesome. All right, reading messages here. Potato cam. Yeah, it's a potato cam. I had another one. I didn't want to bother to hook it up. I should have, but you saw it. It worked. Nice. If you broke the pie, would it be fixable? I think so. I think that there is another ROM in there that watches for firmware in there. And if you corrupt the normal firmware, that this piece of firmware says, don't worry, put in a good card with valid firmware, and I will send that. I think that because I ran into a guy who had a related problem the other day. He definitely bricked his firmware, and we had him try that with the regular bootloader. And I haven't heard the results from him yet, but he didn't write back yet and say it didn't work. So you could still eat it. Jeez. Didn't you hear? We got 10 seconds now. Arr! All right. That's, I'm caught up on all the questions. You guys were very good at focusing your attention. So I left that off at 3:32. And with that, oh, it's going to verify now. It's verifying at 24%. Yo! So I'm going to set up the next contesto. Our next contest is going to be to win a CompTIA exam voucher, good for any CompTIA exam except CYSA Plus. No, I don't know why. And I'm tired of asking them. They're not answering. So I'm not even going to talk about that anymore. You just can't use it for that. Where can I use this voucher, Dave? I'm glad you asked that question. Anywhere in the world that they accept CompTIA vouchers and they conduct exams. Can I use this for home, or do I have to be in their testing facility? I don't know the answer to that one. The other question, when you win today, somebody's going to win. Andrew's getting the how to claim your prize email or post already set up and ready to go, 78%. You're going to send me an email with the information that CompTIA wants to have. And then I'm going to reformat that with all the fields and all the order that they want. And I'm going to give it to CompTIA. And then I am done with it. I get an acknowledgement back from them that they've received it. If you don't get your voucher from CompTIA, that's who you're going to hear from next in a week, a month, 2 months. I can't help you. It is out of my hands. I can't call on your behalf. Sorry. It's, we do what we can. They do what they can. I got at least one that's in that circumstance. It's booting up. You might have seen a micro flash of the rainbow splash. You can't see it, but in the upper left-hand corner, there we go. I'm resizing the boot file system. This is just like you've burned a fresh, shiny new card on your Windows or your Linux or your Mac machine, and you stuck it in here and you're booting up from it. So, it's not really very exciting. There goes the rainbow splash. And now it's going to boot up Raspberry Pi OS. And that is so cool. So again, I apologize, but there is nothing that I can do on your behalf, excuse me, to make it happen. To do anything for them. I can't ask them to look it up and, hey, this one got lost in the mail. This guy's asking about it. And there's a couple of important reasons that we can't do that intervention. And one of them is we have already pestered them so many times that we are on the cusp of them saying, we're not giving you any more. So if we have to sacrifice one person for every 10 or 15 wins and they don't get it, in order to get 15 more vouchers from them, this isn't coming from us. This is coming from CompTIA. That's the price we'll have to pay. But it works, okay? 99 times out of 100, everything is working just fine. So don't panic. All right, is there any other notes that I need to cover here? Contest rules: no previous winners of vouchers from my show or Mike's show. You're welcome to participate. You can put up an answer to the question and then put the word pass next to it. And I'm going to look up the name of the winner and find out if you've won before, in which case we're just going to ignore you. And again, we lean heavily toward new people. But if you've won a total tester or something like that in the past, doesn't look like it, but it's booting. I got blinking in the upper left-hand corner of a little cursor. Excuse me. There we go. Now, oh yeah, here it comes. And I know it's really, really bright. I put a piece of gray transparent plastic over that. And I'm going to answer the questions on here just so this thing will get going in the background. This one, it's really unfortunate on here. One of the things that it does is even though we set up central time on the imager, it doesn't remember. It automatically sets it up for Great Britain. But a quick fix on that. And now it goes buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. All right, I'm not going to do anything else on that for now. Let's get you back on my camera. Taskbar doesn't fit on the screen. It fits just fine. Searching for networks. All right, so today's contest is going to be like all contests. I make this one a lot more fair. You don't have to know anything about Linux. You don't have to know anything about A+. You don't have to know anything about anything because it's just going to be a random number from a particular range that I'm going to give you. Sorry, I got to fill this thing in. Oh, you goober. I typed all that in and it didn't help. There we go. Oh, stop it. Okay. Almost done. Close enough. I don't care anymore. All right, so you're going to pick a random number out of a range that I'm going to give you. You can have 3 guesses today. They must be on a different entry. I don't want to see guess 1, 2, 3. We want to see a guess here and a guess there and a guess there. So the range, so ready to hand this over to you, right? What is my range today? What I said of by the way, I do my best to be fair. What I see goes. Closest to without going over wins. If I pick somebody and they weren't the closest to, and there was somebody closer, I make mistakes. Not often. And I do take my time on this, but if that happens, my mistake is the winner. All right, 3 guesses. Here's the range. Here we go. I use a random number generator. I picked the first, I allowed it to generate one time, one number between the number 1 and the number 1,000 inclusive. So there you go. Give me a guess of a number between 1 and 1,000. You have 3 guesses. Closest to without going over will win a shiny new CompTIA voucher, good for any CompTIA exam except CYSA, anywhere in the world where exams are offered. All right. Andrew and I are diligently watching posts come up. We're going to run this for about a minute or so for everybody to guess. That one's very close. I heard something. Oh, that was my phone that wonked. Okay, there's, stop it. When tons of people start typing in, the system gets over. Chris Kent, you're a little high on your guess, Chris. Wow. Okay, that one's that one's closer. That's very close. I see those really close ones and I'm thinking, did I accident? Oh my gosh. There is no. hang on, comparing these two numbers. There are two that are just insanely close. Sorry, it's super scroll. I got to go all the way back here and find. Goodness gracious. Hope you're having better luck than I am. I've had to go all the way back and start over, Chris. All right, so there's that one. I think there's a closer one than that now, but let's save that just in case. Ooh. Okay. I think this person has already won, but maybe not. That's the one I'm working with, Andrew. And I'm going to check and see if that one is a previous winner. All right, 10 more seconds while I do that check. Okay, that is a good name. So let me throw that down here on my winner list. We have a winner. We are going to stop accepting entries. The last entry that I had was Rainbow Jesse, 1246, with his two guesses down there. Yeah, that one was close, but the other one that we both saw was closer. All right, guys, the winning number was 889, and both Andrew and I show the winner at 3:43 p.m. to be Matusz Riska. Matusz Riska. He corrected our pronunciation on that the other day. So Matusz Riska, congratulations. You have won a voucher, good anywhere in the world. Andrew is going to post how to claim your voucher, and I'm going to put it up on screen. Really, I am. We go here, voucher winner. There we go. And this is what you got to do. You have to do this today. You have, it's going to be 4 o'clock. You will have 5 hours after the show to get this email sent to me, because it's got to go into those folks tonight along with all the other winners from this week. So let me share screen. Here's the screen. So Andrew just posted at 3:47 my time, 47 minutes past the hour, the following information. You are going to send an email to me. It's going to have your YouTube name in it, Matusz Riska. It's going to have your actual name if it's different, even if it's not different, put it in there twice. This is all in the body of the email. So your real name, the email address that you want CompTIA to contact you at, it must be in the body of the email. You cannot, I can't use the one from the header in your email. Put it in the body of the email. And if you are registered with CompTIA already, you've taken a test from them, use the same name and same email that's already registered with them. Tell me which exam you want to take. Be specific. Again, exam number. And this one, you can't say A+ and get them both. It's one voucher. You either get 220-1001 or 220-1002 or N10-007, or you get the idea, right? The singular exam that you want to take. What country are you going to take your exam in? Be specific. Somebody very nice the other day sent me a kingdom name. Well, there's 13 countries that make up that kingdom. I need the actual name of the country. And if you're going to take it in the United States, you must include the state where you plan on taking it. And that's how you claim your voucher. So congratulations, Matusz Riska. I don't know if you roll your R's or not. I apologize if you don't, but I did. Feeling good about it. Do I want to do this one more time here? Yeah, let me throw up one more thing here. The installation is totally complete. The screen you're looking at says setup complete. And at this point, we got a shiny new Raspberry Pi that's ready for loading up applications and running servers and doing all that cool stuff. So awesome, huh? So again, today we had to do the two-step process. We had to use another machine to get firmware on a micro SD card and then flash the firmware in the Pi. That step will go away in hopefully reasonably short order, a couple weeks, couple months, whatever the case may be. And then you will be able to take a Raspberry Pi. You won't need a second machine. Pop your blank micro SD card in there, hook up a a network connection and a keyboard. And that's the minimum. That's all you need in order to get a shiny new operating system. Or sorry, you need a monitor too. You'll need a monitor so you can get it installed. Awesome, huh? Let's see, I've got all those slides done and over with. I don't have to share those. Let's wind up with any last questions. We'll do closing out and we will close the doors on this joint in about 10 minutes. Blow this pop stand, right? I have to go back and look through some of these numbers because sometimes people put very humorous things. For instance, Mr. Shaw, Captain Shaw, 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. That would be Avogadro's number. If anybody doesn't know, look it up. Wow. 6.022. As I recall it, it's 6.023, but okay. I learned that as 023. That was why it was throwing me. Chris, 5,800. Matouche, you went with a 666, huh? You know what? If my random number generator came up with 666, I would reject it and run the number generator again. Gary Barnhart, you were so close, my friend. Wow, a couple of people very close on the other side. Tamper Squirrel, you were within 6, but on the high side. Will Shaw posts the same number a second time. How many? 777, lucky number 777 from Mashed Potatoes, 4,400 from Rainbow Jesse, 9,800 from Chris. You guys are just knocking me out with humorous. It's professional numbers. No, nobody got an exact match. That's only happened once. And I'm still not convinced that that wasn't my fault. I think I may have given it away in a document download, but there it is. All right. So we're caught up on those things. I am reading past time mark 346. That's where Andrew posted your claim information. Andrew's going to post the discount and the Discord link one more time. I'm going to be on Discord 5 to 10 minutes after the show ends today with mic and camera. People are still guessing. Heavy D, nice to see you, bud. Whoa, I'm super scrolled. How'd that happen? There we go. 880 was 880. You would have been closer, but we'd already stopped the contest by then. Yeah, I enjoy this thing. I have a ton of fun with that. I'm glad you think that's cool. Hey, look, we don't have many people here, and a lot of the people here have won in the past. So you got 3 opportunities every week to do this again. Mike's 2 shows on Monday, Wednesday, 2 o'clock. My show every Friday at 2 o'clock. And same thing, we all give away total tester practice tests, and you can win multiples of those. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew just posted, here we go, at 3:52, the discount and the specials, the Discord link. So cool. Code is Omar this week. Toloid, if you're going to guess this late in the game, why not just put 889 and get it over with? Okay, putting the kids to bed first, and then you'll be on Discord. All right, good. Well, we want to make sure that we can wave to the missus and the mom. All right, I got 7 minutes left. I don't see any more questions. If you've got any more questions, post them in the next minute or so, or comments or whatever. I'm finally on Discord and I have plans tonight. That's all right. Discord runs 24 hours a day. And we saw something 2 weeks ago on the current Discord channel that we had never seen on the old Discord channel. Usually the only time mics and cameras get involved is right after an AMA or a drama. And we saw a couple of folks say, you know what, we want to talk together. I've done it with a couple of people, but nobody ever noticed it. But it's the first time we've seen old timers and moderators and things like that get together. And, I don't know if they were studying or what they were doing, but, by all means, it's a great opportunity to just get together and do some FaceTime with other people. Answer in Discord will do. Okay, reading messages. All right. Beg your pardon. So let's see any final questions. And if not, we can wind this thing up 5 minutes early. Oh, yeah, no, I want to talk about this. Okay, so what's coming up on drama in the next 3 weeks? So next week, we're going to crack Wi-Fi. by installing Kali Linux on a Raspberry Pi and then use their Wi-Fi cracker. We're going to do the slimmed down version of it. There's a whole bunch of additional pieces that can make it better, smarter, stronger, not faster, makes it slower. But I'm just going to give you the bare minimums, and I'm giving you a tutorial that'll, if you want to go beyond the minimums, it's really easy. You're going to see, hey, you're missing this program. It would do better if you had this program. Hey, you're missing that program. It would do better if you had that program. And all you have to do is sudo apt install and the name of that program, and you'll have that too. But, for the sake of time, we're just going to do the bare minimum. After that, the following week, because we'll be playing with Kali, we played with Kali 2 years ago almost. I want to play with it again. I just want to do one thing. We had a real challenge back in November of 20 with Kali getting VNC to work. They've got that worked out now. And they don't, it turns out. The VNC server that they have set up doesn't work correctly on the desktop that Raspberry Pi is currently using. However, I have the fix, and I'm going to show it to you. It's very good. It's very reliable. It's very powerful. So that's what I'm going to do the week after that. It's really quick. It's really painless. It's going to be a short project. So bring your questions. Otherwise, we're going to wind up half an hour, 45 minutes early. After that, I've been promising this forever. I'm going to start working on it this weekend. We're going to get Minecraft working. I know one way to make it work. I don't love this method, but it is going to work. Hey, Siegfried's here, man. Welcome, buddy. I gave you props earlier for being the owner, operator of the current Discord channel. So many thanks. So we're going to get Minecraft going here in 3 weeks. And in the meantime, Andrew and I are going to be working in the background off of Total Sem Time to get Nessus installed and to build a good project around it. So my plan is 4 weeks or 5 weeks from now, we do Nessus on Raspberry Pi. And that's just enough time to make the one that they gave me to operate before its function expires. All right, last check for questions here, and then I'm going to go into La Shutdown mode. Let me see here. Tamara Squirrel's talking to Christine. Christine, I got to go shopping for storage boxes. Adulting, yeah. I read that wrong for a second. I thought you were getting adult storage boxes. It scared me. Chris Kent, do they still sell those Sega Genesis chassis for Raz Pi? Yes, but like everything else, back order city. So good luck getting them unless you get one used. And they're, in my mind, they've always been way overpriced, but they do exist. So Siegfried turned up at the end, and all right, that is the end. We're going to wind things up here. As always, my eternal gratitude to Andrew for his awesome help and support, and to Mike Myers for giving us the resource and time to get together. And most of all, my gratitude to all of you who turn up. I know some of you are here just for the prizes. That's okay. I get the count that makes me happy. But hopefully you learn something new. And if you don't learn something new, maybe it triggers something in you that says, I'm going to go learn something. I'm going to take advantage of this. Thank you, back channel. This has been Dave Rush. I'm the senior instructor at Total Seminars and resident Pi specialist. I'm wishing you a great weekend. Take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy. Call and visit your parents and the rest of your family. And never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource that we have are you and I. So with that, I bid you good night. I'll see you on Discord in about 10 minutes or so, and at the AMAs next week. Until then, I am out of here. This presentation was recorded before a live audience and is a production of Total Seminars. No animals were hurt during the production of this program.